Okay, so in comparing when a firm should shut down, I've drawn the cost curves for 3 different firms, firm A, B, and C. And what you'll notice is they all have a price of $5, and their demand curve is the same thing as our marginal revenue curve, which is the same thing as the price, which means that they are price takers. And that's how I can distinguish them and tell automatically that they are in a perfectly competitive market. And remember, perfectly competitive market just means that there's still a downward facing demand curve, but for that individual firm, they face completely horizontal demand curve with an elasticity of 0. All right, so for my first firm here, I have the cost curves. If you'll notice, the average total cost curve, marginal cost curve, average variable cost. The marginal cost always intersects the total cost and variable cost at the minimum, and so the rule is going to be the same on every one of them. You want to make sure that the marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. We like to call that the profit maximizing, but we also want to call it loss minimizing because it will depend on what a firm's cost curve is to determine if they're going to be able to stay in business. So here I have the total revenue at marginal cost equals marginal revenue. And let me use a different color for that so you can see where these two intersect right here. This determines my output. So my total revenue is going to be 100 times the $5. All right, that is not profit. So this firm makes $500. Then we have to determine what their costs are. The cost, you need to figure out where the average total cost is at 100. So the way you read that is you would go here and then go over to the 4. So my total cost, and the reason this works is because if you think about the formula for average total cost, let me write that here. Average total cost is basically the same thing as total cost divided by Q. So this is total cost divided by Q. When I multiply total cost divided by Q, I am left with just total cost. So here, to calculate my total cost, I'm going to take 100, my units, times the average total cost for each unit. So I end up here with 400. And we can see here that this firm is making a profit of 100. And I'm going to use this symbol for profit. So they should stay in business, right? And some we'll even go on later to talk about what that will do as far as bringing other businesses into the market. In our second example here with firm B, notice their cost curves lie above the price, all right? So for this firm, their profit maximizing or cost minimizing output is going to be the 50. So if I wanted to calculate what their total revenue is, I'm going to, because again, everyone does marginal revenue equals marginal cost. That's right here. They're going to sell 50 units at a price of $5, all right? And when they do sell the 50 units at a price of $5, they're going to end up with only the $250. Now, what's their total cost? I can read the graph here and say, at a price of 50, what is total cost per unit? So this is my average total cost. So for every output, for every unit of cupcake here, for every cupcake, it costs me on average, let's say $10 to make. All right, so then I will end up with the 50 times my 10, which gives me the 500. All right, so I've got my total cost here, and I have my variable cost and my fixed cost. So what I want to calculate now is my variable cost. And I have that because this point here is going to be $6. So on average, we're going to say that the 50 times the 6 here is going to be the 300. All right, what that means is that if I take my total cost minus my variable cost, it means my fixed costs are equal to 500 minus 300, all right? And I already know right here from looking at total revenue and total cost, this firm is making a loss, right? I can already see here that they are negative 250, right? But to determine